You are now listening to Being Unboxed with Renee Ambush, formerly with the Flex Radio and now with D.O.D Radio Network, Destiny Over Drama. Best self, best life, best radio. Say that.
Color versus culture. Next on Being Unboxed with Renee Ambush on the Flex Radio. Say that.
Good afternoon, guys. You are being unboxed with Renee Ambush, and today we are talking about color versus culture. So let me tell you why this topic became prevalent for me. I have a young daughter who a couple of years ago went to an HBCU. Now, the background behind that is, as you can see, for those who can see me, I am very well melanated. And my baby girl is an amazing, beautiful, melanated young lady as well. I mean, awesome. Actually, I don't even want to go into her modeling and her acting career, but she is absolutely beautiful. And I brought her up in environments where she usually was the minority when it came down to her melanated self. So from there, we moved to California and we lived in Burbank, and there wasn't a whole lot of melanated us in that area as well. So when she got accepted to HBCU and she got into that environment, it was something that was really a challenge for her. So me being born and raised in Baltimore, inner city, West Baltimore, I was used to being around other melanated people. Actually, other ethnicities were not the minority. You may have seen someone of Asian descent that was at your corner store or at the beauty store, but pretty much you went to school with, you went to church with, you hung out with those who were all melanated. So given that experience, she went to an HBCU, and after her first semester, it really did something to her. And she was like, "Mom, I'm really having a challenging time." And I'm like, "What's up? What's going on?" And she was like, "They're telling me that I'm not Black." And I was like, "What do you mean they're telling you that you're not Black?" And she was like, "I don't know how to twerk. I don't know all of the Beyonce songs." She was like, all the songs that I like are kind of mixed and things of that nature. She was like, "I don't know Spike Lee joints." I mean, just a few of them. So at first, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I was like, okay, I failed my kid. I'm like, because I straight was brought up in the hood. And I'm like, so wait, I ain't turning on to a Spike Lee joint? But I mean, she knew some of them, but not all of them. But I really sat and talked with her, and I was like, there really is a difference between your color and your culture. And I'm like, a lot of times we get that messed up, or we have a problem with that. Honestly, in the whole US, like, we really have a problem. And sadly enough, it's not really like that abroad. But in the US, we have a problem with people looking a certain way. So we assume their culture, we assume their ethnicity, we assume their social class or what they do or things of that nature. And I told her, I was like, your melanation, you can't take away, baby. You're going to be brown no matter what. I don't care if you try to bleach. I don't care, whatever the case may be. But that doesn't determine who you are as an individual. That is so different from your culture. You've been cultured. You've been places that other people have not. You've been in areas with other people that other people have not rubbed shoulders with. You have done things culturally. You have been out of the States. You've done things. So you are cultured. So you have a bonus. You get to be a melanated color, and you also get to be cultured. But that thing plays a big part because, I don't really go into the politics and things of that nature, but even with our vice president, that's a big thing right now. She's representing the melanated people. But the big question is she melanated? Is she really, and I keep saying melanated because I want to tell you that Black is not a race. And we'll get into that. Black is really not a race. Black is a color. White is not a race. It's a color. In fact, I looked up the definition because I wanted to be very academic when I spoke with you guys today. And I just wanted to share this with you. So let me tell you what culture, how culture is defined. Culture is the custom, the art, and the social institution and achievements of a particular nation, people, or social group, right? That would be your culture. Then we get to a race of people. A race of people are those who share physical characteristics. So you telling me, check this out, that somebody in Saudi Arabia can have these nice full lips like I got, this nice big nose, and they can be the same race. Come on, somebody, I need to teach you something while we preach with something. I'm just saying. But there are the people, the races, the people who share the physical characteristics such as skin color, facial features. They share the same identity and sometimes ancestral background. They are the same racial groups because they may identify with more than one group. So that's what I'm talking about. I don't necessarily have to be the same race as you and come from the same city, same state, same area, whatever the case may be, but we can still be the same race, right? And an example of that would be, and I know we say this is kind of controversial. We say that Jew is a race. It is. It's a race. It's also classified as a religious group of people, but being a Jew is a race. Being Italian is a race. They can be every and anywhere. But when I say that my race is black, I would be totally incorrect because black or white is not a race. And then we get down to ethnicity. Ethnicity is a group of people who share social and cultural characteristics such as language, religion, values, and behaviors. And you know what's so funny, talking about the whole culture and ethnicity and things of that nature? I told you, I'm from inner city Baltimore, right? Now, I can say Baltimore because that's how it's spelled, but I'm from Baltimore. You probably won't even hear the T. But what I'm saying is, for the most part, when I'm speaking, people will go, "You from Baltimore?" And I'm like, "Yeah." You don't sound like you from Baltimore. Like, so I don't sound like I'm from a place, but I legitimately am from a place. So because around the social media or things of that nature, you hear that all people from Baltimore say to do an avenue, then that means that we're from Baltimore. That's not so. Everybody from Baltimore, we don't say to do an avenue. But at any rate, I've got some guests that are coming on today, and I'm excited to talk with them. This will be my first time interacting with them, so we don't know how this is going to go, but I'm sure it's going to be live. We have some individuals that are going to come on, and I'm going to let you meet them and introduce themselves. We have Eli, Lorena, and David, and they'll be coming on. I asked them for a bio, y'all. And David told me in his bio that he was just casual. I think it was casual or comfort or chill. So I guess David gonna come in chill, y'all. Eli gonna be on 100, and he lived in Japan. No, wait a minute. See, he lived in Japan and was born in Germany. So it's gonna be real interesting talking to him because that's exactly what I'm talking about. I want to know how his experience was being one who was born of a two different biracial. He's biracial, so it'd be really good to hear from him, having lived outside of the United States, and talk about what color is for him and how culture is for him. And then we have Lorena, and I read her bio, and she had much in there. She's got a master's in science and global health, a bachelor's and a master's in biology, and she does some teaching. She also minored in music. So, and what I heard about her in her bio and her biography is that she is really big on diverse learning. So I really am excited to speak with them and have them to come on. So let's see, we can get them in here and get to talking and get them to introduce themselves. And let's talk about this culture versus color, because, you know, it's just too sad that we play too much to this with too many of the negatives, but we're not giving some positives about the situation. Look like we got Eli. Hey, Eli. And now we've got Rafina. Okay, you sounding good, Eli. Eli.
Hold on.
Yes. Okay. Well, welcome. How are you today?
Good.
Okay. It looked like you're kind of coming in and out a little bit. All right. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, okay. I was just sharing a little bit I wanted you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Where, you know, of course, you know what the show is about, color versus culture, and from my understanding, knowing that your mom is Caucasian and your dad is African American. Having been born in Germany and lived in Japan, tell me what you first and foremost believe. What do you ascribe to being your ethnicity? What you check? What box you check on the applications and stuff?
Really, I put other because I don't want to be a statistic. I want people to guess what I am. or I
Okay,
want.
so now we're doing guessing. Okay.
Well, not. I wouldn't say guess. It's. I don't want you to know me by the color of my skin. I want you to know me by the character of who I am.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to be judged by my skin tone. I want to be judged by the character, like the posture of my heart and the
Mm-hmm.
character of how I carry myself.
Absolutely. So let me ask you a question because I think that's very important. So you check other on those applications because you don't want to let me ask a question. Let me put it in this form. Is it because you don't want to be prejudged?
Um, no, not really, because at the end of the day, it's like, in my opinion, it's very much of this space of understanding that, to me, the color of your skin doesn't make who you are. It's how you carry yourself. It's
And
how
so
you treat people, how you how you want people to treat you.
right, no, but I was
Um,
meaning like
because
when you do the applications. That's what I'm saying. So on the applications, you say you put other. So I'm saying, is it because you don't want to be discriminated against, or kind of preconceived as to who you are as a person? If you actually check one of the boxes on there that would identify your ethnicity.
I do have moments where like that's part of it, and then also it's this space of people look at me and they're like, "Oh, he looks Middle Eastern," or he looks like he's not from. Like you don't know where he's from. Like you don't know if he's Middle Eastern. You don't know if he's Morocco. You don't know if he's Eritrean. Like you don't know what he is. You don't
First
know
of
if
all, I
he's
don't even know what
Hispanic.
Eritrea is. So okay,
Eritrea,
talking to my not
Eritrea is a
knowing.
country. It's a part of East Africa. That's where Nipsey is from. Hush.
Okay, let's see, we can go somewhere else. Okay,
Well,
okay.
no, not the DD. Yeah, that it's next to it's in Africa. It's East Africa. It's next to Ethiopia. So that's where.
And so, but you now growing up, did you feel like you had to give honor to one side or the other? Did you, or it was really good for you growing up as far as in your environment that it did not
Oh
play a part in you had to be more
no, no,
Caucasian?
no! You good, man? You good, man? Um, nah. I mean, the the love for the African American community had always been there. It just kind of felt like an elephant. I kind of felt like the elephant in the room when it came to my mom's side of the family,
What do you
because it was
mean?
like it's this space of like even though we're all related to each other, it's
Mhm.
like the conversations are different. Like from them to me, like they can't come to me and say, "Oh, have you heard the new J. Cole album?" Because it's like I don't want to call it that get out feeling, like something is rushed or
Okay.
forced, but it was genuine growing up, really.
Now, would you
Like I
educate
really didn't
your
start.
Caucasian side of the family on J. Cole? Do you feel comfortable doing that? Dinner at the family dinner, for those who don't know J. Cole songs, are you able to have that conversation at family dinner and be like, let me put you down with J. Cole and some of his music? Like you could do that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure, for
So that's a
sure,
good
for
environment.
sure. It is. And then I
Yeah.
learned a lot from them, from James Taylor to Gene Autry to
Not that we just went on a whole
Jim
music kick.
Croce. Like it's like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. You know, they have their music, we have ours, and it all kind of blends into each other. So it's like I was always intrigued with,
Well,
of
see,
course,
that's
me being
something
a
that you
fan of
just said
music as
about
a
the women. I'm
kid.
sorry. That's something you said about the color, because you said they have their music, we have our music. Music is just music. And it's
It
whatever
is.
music
It
that you
is.
choose to like. And that was literally a part of what we were talking about in the show. It's like I can be this color and like the Beatles. I kind of like Elton John. I did. Benny and the Jets. But that's a whole nother situation. Like I like the Bee Gees and all that. And that's how my children grew up. Like we didn't always listen to like the 70s soul music and the Temptations and all that stuff. So they didn't know that, but that didn't make them less melanated. It just was that they were exposed to other things in their culture of music. Music really isn't a color, it's a culture. It's what you choose, it's what you fit in, and what feels good or what's good for you, what you deem to be good.
it's a beautiful thing when you look at it.
We have to expose people to culture so that we can get away from stereotyping the color. Lorena, tell us a little bit about yourself as far as your color, your culture, your ethnicity, and what you identify as your ethnicity, and what do you check when you go fill out applications and things of that nature.
So growing up, my parents didn't really talk about race or anything like that with me. I didn't really start diving into like my heritage until college.
So what is your
Um,
heritage? I love that. So you threw us a new
so
word, heritage. Okay.
so Latino or
Okay.
Hispanic.
Okay.
But I say I'm Afro-Latino because my mother is your complexion. She's dark, but she's from
Okay.
Panama. And I have to kind of educate people because, the slave trade wasn't just the U.S. It was the Caribbean, South and Central America. So sometimes I've had to like defend who I am, especially in like Latin spaces, because
Okay.
there's a lot of colorism and a lot of racism in those spaces too. And I can distinctly remember like I was in like a Latin like heritage group at one of my other universities, and they kept questioning me like, why are you here? Are you really, Hispanic? Like, and I didn't really understand what they meant by that. But like I was talking to my mother about it, and she was like, oh, it's because they haven't seen people that look like us before.
And
They
where were
probably
you? Where were you?
I was in Greensboro.
Okay, so North Carolina. And I'm saying that because we were in California, and my daughter, who is very melanated, such as myself, she knew Spanish. And she literally actually was in the class with a lot of Latin Americans or Hispanics were in her class for Spanish class. And she came home boggled and baffled, like, I don't understand. And they're asking me to help them with their homework. But this is why we're talking, because what happens is that's, for me, a stereotype. Just because you are of Latin or Hispanic culture or descent doesn't mean that you speak Spanish. You understand what I'm
Yes.
saying? And just because she was brought up inner city Baltimore, no, well, you can't. I think she believes she's Dominican, but I don't know where the Dominican came from, because if I'm not Dominican, but we're not gonna go there. But not having any of that in that trace, but she fluently speaks Spanish. And this is something, like you said, first of all, having to defend yourself because of who you are. That's a problem with the color and culture. You being who you are shouldn't have to defend what's running through you. But because of society, because of how we've pegged, because of how we stereotyped, we all have to fit inside of people boxes, right? And like you said, we get to choose if we want to defend or explain or not, right? I'm gonna throw this out there. So how much, either one is like either to you, how much do you think that color actually plays a part in our culture? Do you think that it's too overwhelming, or we're not educated enough that we should speak about it more?
I think it's a lot of like under education about other countries, but also me being a child of immigrants, I never really questioned like, that's my mom, that's my dad. But whenever I was growing up, there would be kids coming up to me saying, are you sure that's really your mom?
Oh, wow.
So I would be like, and I asked my mom one time, am I adopted? And she was like, no, you came from me. Okay. And I remember one little girl was sitting with me at the table with my mom, and she had asked my mom, so are you really her mom? She's like, you just pour a little cream in the coffee, and then that's the color you get. So she tried to like make it in a sense that she would understand. So yeah, but as I got older, I think I grew more into my features. So people say I look like her more. Okay. But definitely growing up, I definitely felt very out of place, not really fitting in. But I think I became more of like understanding of myself being at a HBCU. Because when I told people my background at a HBCU, I didn't feel like they were questioning me or anything. It just felt very like, oh, okay, we get it.
Now, that's interesting, because my daughter went to a HBCU and they questioned her, though she was highly melanated. But she didn't understand the culture because she grew up in a culture that was very diverse all the way around. So when she couldn't name, 10 Beyonce songs, or she didn't, like she said, she didn't know how to twerk, or she didn't know the Spike Lee movies, she didn't know a lot of the rappers, and because her music was music of choice and underground, you know what I mean? So she didn't know a lot of mainstream per se, but she was diverse in what she knew. But then going to an HBCU, she was made to feel, even with her color, made to feel that you're not Black because you don't know this. And again, I think it's attributed to, like you said, the environment and the culture. I'm just one of the mommies that, I fight kids. No, let me not say that. But I'm that mother. I was like, well, tell them. Ask them, have they been out of the country? Ask them, have they been on set? Ask them, have they done this? Ask them, have they, danced with this person? Have they? And it's like, no, right? So we're putting so much pressure on people to really go back into stereotypical behavior, like you said, instead of educating people on the different shades of Latin Americans. Like, I really, for a long time, even myself, I have a friend, she's my sister. And when she told me she was Panamanian and she spoke Spanish, I'm going, I don't get it. What do you mean? What is that? Like, I really don't know. I know Mexican, I know El Salvadorian, I know, oh dang, I was going to make it seem like I knew a whole lot. But I was like, but I didn't know that, Dominican. And I was like, but I didn't know Panamanian. But like you said, we need to focus really more on our similarities than our differences. But I know I was just reading something about the Jamaican track runner who is now engaged to a U.S. So I only read a little bit, so I don't know a lot. But it was talking about, she was saying she was kind of excommunicated, now that she's dealing with an American and things of that nature, whatever. And that hurt me because I'm going, why are we struggling, or why are we having so much challenge with allowing people to be who they are, right? And finding out, which I hope this show does, make people inquire more about different ethnicity and cultures in order that you understand. I'm going to say this, and I'm going to give you guys another question. I know for myself, I don't identify as African American, right? Because I have no direct line to Africa for me. If I'm able to trace it and find it, then okay. But I'm like, I'm not. I'm a melanated female, right? And that's how I quote unquote identify. And so I have friends that are from like Cameroon, and I'm always questioning them about their culture. Tell me more about, not because I want to be you, not because I feel less than, but please educate me on who you are. What's with you? You know what I mean? Then I have friends from Jonesboro, Jonesboro, South Africa, Jonesburg.
You talking about
Johannesburg.
Johannesburg?
Yeah. And I'm like, share with me your culture, right? And, they even kind of made me greedy because now I'm eating their food like all the time. I'm like, you got to make some jollof rice. Like, I got to have some. And I'm like, the more we do that, the more we love on each other, the more it's like, you know what? Do you know that we have so many more similarities than we have differences? And if I educate you on my differences, we actually grow together, bind together, and become stronger, right? So let me ask you a question. So you said, or did you say that the ethnicities of your parents were two different ethnicities and cultures, or no?
So they're both like from Latin American countries. My mother's from Panama, and she identifies as like Afro-Latina, so Black but with Latin heritage.
Okay.
And my father is like Mexican American, so
Okay.
he looks kind of like a stereotypical Mexican would look like. He's from a border city.
Okay.
He was the last child to be born in Mexico before they moved to the U.S. So he was a migrant worker. So whenever I click like the buttons, I always just put Latino, then I put Black. But sometimes it doesn't let me put Black, so I just put Latino. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think we lost Eli for a second, so we're going to get him back in here. So Lorena, I'm going to say this until we wait for Eli to come back. How about your name? Has your name
Oh,
preceded you when you've gone into places and people assumed already before you got there? Because I'm going to tell you, I
yeah.
purposely named my children names that were kind of like ambiguous, and you didn't even know. Like my son, his name is Kyle. My daughter name is JL, and my oldest son was Gary. Those are names pretty much across the border that they can be of any
Mhm.
culture, or and I did that purposely because I knew in the inner city, if you and it's sad, but if you were Boniqua, or you were
Mhm.
Leroy, or or
Mhm.
Shaquanda, Quashika, I don't want to offend anybody who has those names, but you were already going to be looked at and or not looked at because of your name. And I know these are strategies that I give people. If someone comes to me and they're parenting and they're like, I'm thinking about naming my baby, it's sad, but in order to give your child a fighting chance, I ask them, please make sure that you pick a name first and foremost that has a meaning, right? Because
Mhm.
our names have meanings to them. So attach a name that has a positive a positive meaning for their future, and then a name that they don't they're not rejected in a room before they actually get there to show them who they are. So tell me about Lorena.
So my father actually named me. So Lorena, it technically it means queen because
Oh,
Reina
okay. There we go.
in Spanish is queen.
Mm-hmm.
Then my middle name Cristal is just because L and
Wait a
C
minute,
are
did you just say Crystal?
yeah with the I
Okay,
instead
Alizé,
of a Y.
and now no, go ahead.
So my dad named me after a Mexican singer because her name
Oh
was
wow.
also Lorena.
Okay.
Um, and L and C are like letters that my aunt on my mother's side has. So she has Lavinia Christina, so LC. So they kind of kept that through sort of the lineage. Um, and I don't really know what my parents were thinking when they named me. I just know my dad really liked the name, so he gave it to me.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. All right. And so let me ask another question. When we get into situations and circumstances, and I kind of want to talk about this a little bit. Have you ever pulled the quote unquote race card at any time?
No,
And
I don't.
had you had to use an argument for affirmative action at any time?
That's strange because a lot of the programs that I've been involved in were because of affirmative action. Like a lot of the STEM programs I was part of because I was a minority. I was
Mm.
also a female. I was able to be a part of those programs. And then also, like, there's a lot of companies that look specifically for minorities and females.
Mhm.
So I will say that they looked more closely at me for that. But I don't know if it necessarily was like a race card per
Like you didn't
se.
purposely go in and or like, okay, so you're discriminating against me because of, so you've never did that like in any, like a job or anything or
Not
I
necessarily a job. Not necessarily a job. Maybe personally, I may have said something,
Mhm.
but not a job.
Okay. Okay. But you have been in a situation where you have noticed or had to say, okay, it is because of my whatever, 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 that you not like whatever it is that you're denying me or not allowing or judging or prejudging or whatever the case may be, it is because of that.
Yeah, especially when I was in Greensboro, I definitely had to kind of like educate them, which is weird because they should know. So
Okay.
yeah.
So when you show up, people just see what they believe to be a light complected, melanated female. And how do you feel about
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
I don't know, like I didn't grow up seeing color, but now that like I'm in a public health
Hmm.
space now,
Yeah.
and that's my like sort of education and career
Hmm.
trajectory, now I'm more attentive to that.
Hmm.
And with like all that is a lot of stereotypes too that people will throw out at me. Guys that I've dated too will say that too, and I just be like, that's not
What do you
even
mean?
me.
What would
But
they say?
so they would say, "Oh, I thought you were gonna be stuck up."
Oh, wow.
Oh, I thought,
Because of your color?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
They're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were like this." Like, I was like, "What was I supposed to be like?" I don't
Wow. And
know.
again, another stereotype. But then it's
Yeah.
also what what we grew up with too, depending about your background and your environment. Because I know growing up, now this is crazy, right? Because this show is being unboxed. What we do is we
Mhm.
give the real skinny, and I am transparent, right? And that's what I do when I provide therapeutic services for other people as well. I self-disclose as much as I possibly can because I want people to
Mhm.
understand. I really do understand. So growing up in the 70s and growing up in the environment that I did, inner city and everything, and everybody was melanated. I was just one of those people that I was just like, I'm gonna marry a guy because I listen, couldn't speak a lick of Spanish, but I was marrying a Puerto Rican guy. Like that was in my bucket list. Like he has
Right.
to be Puerto Rican, right? So I would visit my cousin in New York all the time in Manhattan, and she lived like five, let me see, 7 blocks away from Spanish Harlem. And I was always trying everything I could to get there. But in my culture, back in my environment, that wasn't, the wanting to be with the light skinned guy with the curly hair was a problem because it was like, they're not even trying to be black and they're not. And it's like,
Yeah.
how can we? I mean, scientifically now we've got some things, but how are we really able to like check off boxes that, I want my kid to be or, children to look like? We are a flavor and array. And we've got to get to a point where we understand that there really is no race. The only race is the human race. And when we start accepting the human race and really start looking at culture and what it is that we are having problems with, or like I said, similarities with the culture, we then become educated. And I love that you do the diverse learning because that's what happens. I tell people all the time, people are not born with the racist or the negative looks and stereotypes. They're taught that. That's passed on. So if we get more people like you, that's like, no, I'm going to teach them diversity. I'm going to share culture with them. I'm going to expand, and I'm going to do it in a way where it's not jaded by what I see it to be, but really get people to start delving into and looking a little deeper into what it is than what we just get on the surface. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about that. You do diverse learning with people. What is that? What does that look like?
I guess when I'm because I do sort of teach part time, but also tutor a lot of like adult learners,
Mm-hmm.
and I also deal with like a lot of different students, different people, from all different backgrounds. So getting to know who they are, where they're from, why they're doing this career, why they're doing this, it's like a way to sort of expand my mind too, because I've met a lot of Africans here, which is great.
And
It's good
every
to meet
African is
different
not from the
Africans.
same area. Like I didn't realize
Exactly.
how large and how many other like little different areas in there and different languages and different beliefs and different cultures.
Mhm.
And all we say is African and African. Oh, it's African. They are African. And it's like, no, it's so much more. Like, oh no, they're from El Salvador or they're Mexican and it's like, and like you said, I want to go back here for a second to the colorism within our own. But go ahead. I
Mhm.
apologize. Go ahead. What were you saying?
But it just learning about like, because I met people from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Nigeria, South Africa. Because I also joined the African Student Alliance too, just because a lot of my friends are also African, so I went there and I got to see like all the different shades of melanin, and also them to talk about like their heritage, their home, the things that they love to eat, they love to do back home, the different languages they speak. And I went to a lot of like these events, and it was like a way for me to like see different cultures, but
Mhm.
also kind of sort of learn more about like my roots and my heritage, even though I don't really know much about it.
Mhm.
So it was a great way for me to educate myself, but also for them to educate themselves about, American culture too. So it
And
was a great learning experience.
and doing that, right? You stepped out of your like limitation as far as
Mhm.
knowledge to get the information.
Mhm.
And that's what I want people to do as well. Step out of your box, step out of your comfort zone. Sit next to somebody who is from somewhere else. I mean, don't go put yourself in any kind of jeopardy or danger or anything like
Yeah, of
that.
course.
But definitely, sought out to get what's not in our textbooks. Sought out to get it from someone who lived there, who knows, because it's firsthand information. This is their culture. This is not what someone took and put in a book and decided, I want you to know about. I know for myself, I don't know if you do this, when I go to different countries or different places, I don't want to go to the tourist places. I want to go where the people are. Take me to
Yeah.
the people, like
Mhm.
I might pay for this lavish, but I want to go where the people are, because that's, to me, and maybe I'm just like, I don't know, but that's where the love is. That's where the real is. Don't give me no masked up, lights, glitz, and camera. Give me what's real.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this question, especially since I love that you have a lot of education behind this as well, and just not talking about stuff. Tell me how you see the color and culture from a negative sense, as it has an impact on our mental health.
I think a lot of it is like sort of the stereotypes and perceptions around receiving help.
Mm-hmm.
I think like it's definitely a lot of like, you don't go to the doctor unless like you're actually sick. Like, why are you going to see a psychiatrist? Are you crazy? It's those types of sort of knowledge. I'm very like lucky that my mom is not one of those people that's like, you can't get help.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely was like, you should go get help if you need help. She was never like sort of against that, but she's also a nurse too. So she understands like so she understands the necessity for mental health and stuff. Especially like in our communities, it's really difficult to talk about mental health with people because maybe they feel like, oh, I'm not crazy, like I don't need to help. And
But that's another culture thing. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So that's not even a color thing. That's a culture thing.
Yeah.
It's a culture that says, and it's funny because in the colored or melanated community and culture, therapy is a taboo. It's wrong. But I'll run to the doctors if my leg hurts. But what if your mind hurts? You know what I mean? Like it literally is just another, and not really going deep, but because you can go deeper, but it's another science. You know what I mean? It's a science it's the study of. So if this person, is dealing with your leg or, your sinuses or your ears or whatever, the person that's dealing with your mind, like in all honesty, is just as important. And we have to tell people, like you said, in all the cultures that, and I want to throw this in there, you can have Jesus and therapy because, I'm a licensed ordained minister. And I know a lot of times people are just like, I'm going to go to Jesus. Okay, you can do that. But that might help your spirit, but your soul is still sick. Your mind, will, and emotion still need something else. Like you can go to one doctor, and I know I'm going off a little bit, but you can go to, a podiatrist, but got a spot, but need a neurologist. So the podiatrist can give you what you need for your feet. But if your back's still hurting and you don't go, and so spine is messed up, you're going to need him too. So we're going to have to stop throwing this whole thing about, if I go to therapy, I don't need Jesus. And if I go to Jesus, I don't need therapy. Because honestly, they go hand in hand, because we are made up of our soul and then that spiritual being. And when that's in balance, it's all good. So we've got to tell the culture, it's okay. Come see me. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. And that color and culture boils over to our every state of being, because it's how we relate to every and anybody, right? And I again want to say that politics is not my thing, but relationships is. And I noticed, because I've got to bring this up with our vice president, and I see that there's a lot that's being said. Now, I'm not for one or the other. Let me just go there for real. Honestly, a cat can be in office for me. And I know people gonna come for me, but don't come for me if I send for you. I'm just saying. But I'm noticing that when we are doing the campaign, because we're talking about color and culture, that we begin to appeal to a culture of people when it comes to certain things, like you said, mental health, medicine, politically. Even I saw this thing on Instagram the other day, and I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and because it was so true, I'm gonna tell you what it was. It was a Caucasian male who was a therapist, and he said he is so sick of seeing Caucasian parents come in with their children with ADHD, and they're talking about behavior modification, creating a plan, helping, with all sorts of things. But when the melanated parent comes in with their child with ADHD, they're talking about how they've been sent to the principal's office, how they're, disrespectful, that they can't do this, that they need medicine, and I'm like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. The person that has melon in their body, but has the same diagnosis as one who doesn't have as much melon, is not going to receive the very same thing that is needed for them to be a better person. And how we appeal to one culture because of their color, and how we don't give another culture. I was looking at another show, and it was one of Tia Tamara. She was on one of the shows, and it kind of was about her having a baby, and they were saying, "Oh, she's not in that much pain. Her tolerance is higher because of her color." But pain doesn't have a color, right? Pain is adhesive. It's not a color bound thing. It travels, right? And it really touches me because, like I said, going back to the political aspect, we're using culture to bait color. And that's not going to work, because once you put the color in a culture that they are unaware of, not willing to learn, it's going to mess up the culture, which then going to bring stereotypes back to the color. What you got for me?
I was just thinking about how people are complaining about immigrants coming in.
Yes.
And how that's messing up the culture. But immigrants have been coming here for years. They complained about the Irish. They complained about the Germans. They complained about so many different, Chinese immigration, Japanese immigration. They complained about all these different groups coming in. But Mexican Americans are the ones that have it right now. Now it's Haitian Americans that have it right now, actually. So it's always another group that's the scapegoat for problems.
I like that. So, say that. That's a say that moment. It's always, yes, that's a say that moment. There's always, say that. Yeah, say that again. Say that again. I want to give it to you. I'm not even going to try to read.
Group for this country's problems. Always another group that is just being blamed. So.
And I think it's kind of what I attributed to a little earlier, is because we won't take the time to educate people on other cultures from the people in those cultures, right? We are getting other people to tell our story. And when we get people to tell our story, we're not getting the full story. We're getting a personal perception of that story. And then we're passing that story down to generations, and we never get a chance, or we don't take the time and opportunity to talk about what it really is in that culture. So I do want to tell people who, are melanated and kind of my kids used to get me because I used to work as a customer service. Well, I used to work on the phone for the federal government. And, it's a running joke, but, I'd answer the phone and it's just like, hi, you've reached, is there any way that I can help you with all of that? Oh, sure, no problem. And then my kids call me on my regular phone. I'm like, what is it that you want? It's in the refrigerator. Go get it. They like, Mom, your whole voice. But that is adapting to, I would say, my environment. I'm still proud of my color. But It's not a sellout if you have melon and you're educated and you speak well. I got $145,000 school loans to tell you that I better speak well. You know what I mean? So I'm like, we cannot keep attributing and making stereotypes over. We can't look at, and somebody's gonna come for me because I love this. It's a little controversial, but the person that eyes are blue, may like Lil Wayne and get it. That's his culture. That's where he fits in. He may not fit in with Brad and Chad and them. You know what I mean? But that doesn't make him a less than either. But we have to stop appealing to the emotional aspect of individuals and conning them into being in a box because of, what they look like or, what they're expected to sound like or be like. I am so for the person, first and foremost, loving who you are. The only way you can please somebody else in any culture or anything or whatever is when you first please yourself. You know what I mean? So yeah. I am so glad that you joined us. I hope, that you found this to be informative, fun, and all that stuff, and to come back and everything. And, I want to tell people that the only race is the human race. And find your culture. Now, here's a funny story that I didn't find funny at the time. I was married to a man who used to cheat all the time. I guess he was in the cheat culture. And his line used to be, I'm a goat who go with me. I want to leave the people with that, right? Let's get rid of my color makes me, or I have to be in this position or that place because of my color. And I would say find your culture. Because when you find your culture, you build positive, effective relationships that produce other positive, effective relationships, right? Your ethnicity is who you are, just because the ethnicity was talking about your physical characters. Okay, a lot of my friends got nice juicy lips like mine, a big old head and, whatever, like them my peoples, right? But in order for us to get rid of this color versus culture, let's educate on the stereotypes. And I mean, listen, we can't be playing with it either. Not the surface stuff, but really delving into giving people the skinny about the culture and not looking at the color, right? So, Lorena, what you want to tell the people? What would you want them to know about you from this interview, or about color and culture? What would you want them to know?
I think the main thing is that Black is not a monolith. There's so many different groups within Blackness. And I guess the last thing would be don't be ignorant.
I love it. Come on, no tell them. That's what I said. Don't be playing with it. Don't be playing with it.
Don't be ignorant. If you don't know something and you're confused about something, just ask or look it up. We have phones. We have. We're in 21st century. If you're confused about something, just look it up or ask someone. Hey, can you tell me more about your background? Absolutely. Can you tell me more about where you're from? Explain more about who you are. That's it. And I'm pretty sure they would love to talk to you about it. So,
and I'm going to put this out there for the educators, for people who are in positions that you have a platform to speak about things. Start educating on the positive aspects of your culture, right? Mm-hmm. Stop downing or demeaning other people about their culture, about their color. Let's not make someone with melon listen to Beyonce. Let's not say that anybody whose hair is fine and straight has to listen to Elton John. I don't know why I just said them names. I'm just because I don't really want to. But let's start saying, hey, listen, these are the things about my culture. Can I share them with you? Can you use your platform for the good? So that we can start making a difference. To every problem, there's a solution. Instead of being a part of the problem, be a part of the solution. I better say that. Thank you so, so much. I think it's a couple things that I heard you say I might have to invite you back on.
Oh yeah.
Please
I
know
wanna
that
come
you are now a part of the Being Unboxed family.
back. Okay.
So welcome and thank you so, so much for your time.
Oh, thank you so much. This was fun. I definitely want to come back.
Ah, I like to hear that. Say that. All right. Well, you be safe. Thank you so much.
No problem. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Being Unboxed on the D.O.D. Radio Network. Best self, best life, best radio.